Election week here on the MCC campus, and today was the debate, and let's see how the candidates stacked up against our tough moderator.
On Tuesday, April 28th, the SGA held a presidential debate where the candidates for president faced off in an intense battle to prove why they should be elected president. The moderator asked some tough questions, but he was curious on how some of the candidates plan to bring some of the sports programs back to MCC.
Well, I sent out a survey asking a couple of people, well, it went through the entire school, about which sports programs they wanted to see come back. I made it very clear to them when I started sending out the survey that I wasn't going to be able to bring all the sports programs back. So it was helpful to get their input. I had to explain to people that no change can really be made unless you yourself get involved in it. I've also spoken to high schools in this area who said that they would consider donating to the school to help fund some of the athletic programs, because in a survey that I sent out, this is where the majority of these kids end up coming to.
We have a couple of different ways that this issue can be resolved, and those two ways that the issue can be resolved are also the source of the problem. Either we don't have enough money coming in from companies who want to sponsor us, or the state cut our budget. Either way, those are both excellent ways that we could bring the program back. Just yesterday, I was actually meeting with politicians in Hartford at the state capitol, and I said to them, listen, if we can get this funding back to MCC to get the sports back, then not only will admission go up, but so will the pride around campus, which is another thing that I wanted to tackle.
Have you done any research on how much it would cost and how much money you would have to raise?
To be quite honest, I have not done that research, but it would cost money, and it would cost a lot of money.
Yeah. It will actually cost around $250 million just to bring sports back with insurance and the 3 sports teams that we had.
With all due respect to Brittany, I'm not trying to demean anything or put down anything that you said, but $250 million for an NJCAA program sounds just a tad high.
Would you recommend the college sell MCC on Main to pay for the next few years of sports?
No, I think that MCC on Main is great.
Absolutely not.
I don't think that we should get rid of an asset to the school just to bring another asset back.
Simple answer? Nope.
I don't necessarily think that they should get rid of MCC on Main, but I think that they should do a better job at promoting it, because when I spoke to a lot of students and I mentioned that, nobody even knew that MCC on Main existed.
There you go.
The moderator also singled out some of the candidates to ask them more specific questions.
You seemed very confident in your experience with the Civil Air Patrol and your trip to D.C. How is this relevant to the SGA position you're running for?
Because I understand the political system, and I know how it works. And I can make it work for not just myself, but for everyone.
And what political system? The MCC political system? Or are you talking about, being president of the United States?
See, I exist in 2 different environments. I exist in the educational environment as a student at this college, and I exist in the state political environment. Working on the state and federal level helps me as a student because of the fact that it kind of simplifies the system here at MCC for myself. It helps me understand issues at this school better than it would if I did not have that experience.
The moderator wasn't the only one asking the tough questions. Fellow MCC students got off their seat to ask questions to the 2014 candidates.
One of the biggest things that was happening on campus was that Professor Glickman said, and I quote, that she would never bring sports back as long as she's the president of the campus. But how are you going to get students interacting with sports in general? The
things I have mentioned to people was that they can start sports clubs, they can start a soccer club, they can start a basketball club, they can do that. The problem is they just don't know how to.
Good point. We can start intramural clubs all we want, and that's totally fine. But the athletics program itself, it has to come back somehow. And if President Glickman says that she doesn't want to bring it back, go further than she wants to go.
As part of SGA now, you can't start a sports club because a sports club actually requires insurance that we don't have.
This question is specifically for Brittany. One of the things that you mentioned was that your experience with the Pride Club. And honestly, Brittany, you destroyed it. A lot of people are very unhappy with your leadership in that club. And I'm honestly wondering, if I were to vote for you as president and you were to be the president of the SGA, would you be spending the time like you do at Pride Club, not doing that, and essentially, half-assing it? Pardon my French.
I think one of my problems with Pride Club is that I do not have supporting officers. Honestly, most things do fall on me, and I think that I do take a lot of things on.
Another issue on campus is clubs. Obviously, we do know this. We only have a couple of clubs that are surviving as of right now, and I can count them on my fingers, which is bad. So my question to you guys is, how do you make it easier for clubs in the next semesters and semesters to come to actually become a club? Because we know there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of no's before we get to a lot of yeses.
The issue that we have is openness around campus. Some clubs are allowed to operate and some clubs aren't. That is a serious, serious issue, and that cannot continue on any college campus. What we have to do here at this particular school is we have to allow for any club to operate.
We can't force clubs to stay open just because there's no students in them.
I never said that. What I'm saying is that people don't want to engage in clubs because the SGA is not allowing them to. Last semester, I was speaking with a very, very good friend of mine who's been going here for over a year, and he said to me that he wanted to start a science club. They went to the SGA to ask for funding, and the SGA said no.
SGA helps clubs in many ways. It depends what problem the club is facing. I think
SGA can help them with that. That seems to be a club. For.
Thank you.
If they're starting their club, and they have to work into it, put research into it. How can I make my club stay afloat? How can I make my club progress? That's not the SGA fault. That's a club member and club who are involved in the club. They're supposed to be the ones supposed to make the club stay afloat.
Nobody's saying that there's no fault at trying to create the club. The club is not the problem in a sense.
Keeping it afloat.
Keeping it afloat meaning coming to SGA and getting funding so that we can stay afloat. It's not so easy so much to go around to every student and ask them for funding because not a lot of kids can come out of pocket and help us.
But that should be the first thing a club should do. They're supposed to be thinking way ahead. My club is going to do what? How do I get funding for my club?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been trying to start a dance club on campus, and part of the issue is I can't reach every student. And the dance club last semester, I believe, or a couple semesters ago is when it stopped. It's because the person who was in it left, and nobody else was there to pick it back up. Nobody knew that the club still existed. I think that one thing that SGA can do to help these clubs out is when these clubs are starting to form, they can send out emails to everybody in the school because they have access to that.
I've tried to create 2 different clubs on campus. It's not as easy as everybody makes it out to be, and we understand that. But SGA does have a hand in helping us out with just getting to people on campus. With also, because you have to understand, the person that's trying to create the club has a full schedule on their plate as well. So
that should be the person's main thought when they're starting this club. How much can I take on? How much am I available to put into this club?
But a community college...
SGA should not be that SGA's responsibility. They are supposed to be. If that's the case, they're going to be responsible for how many clubs are on the campus.
Did you say responsibility? He didn't say responsibility. He said to help out. Like sending out an email would help out people, know what clubs are about to be formed. That way you don't have 3 people trying to start the same club and then, you drift apart.
It seems the debate was a complete success. There were some ups, there were some downs, but it seems that all candidates succeeded against the moderator. They did a great job trying to prove why they should be this year's SGA president. Now it's your time, MCC. Go vote if you haven't voted yet. I'm Dan Schrager, MCC Now News. Gotta go vote.